today's video where we're going to be covering my run through the All-Ireland Sorcerus Cup 6-round online remote tournament. So the team I had for the cup was Medicham, Alola Muck, Bronzong, Azumarill, Munchlax and Skuntank. So moving into game 1, and I led Munchlax into a Granbull, and so I know that I win this in the one shields, so I'm just going to lick and body slam, get the body slam spam off, and hope to get one through. So the Granbull shields the first one, and then I decide I'm going to shield close combat, and then when I throw the second body slam, if there's no shield here, this will kill my opponent, which it does. And in comes the Azumarill, and I'm able to get to another body slam. Munchlax is just so spammy that you're just able to get to body slams constantly. Let's get just short of getting to that next body slam. So Azumarill has a bucket load of energy. So I bring in Skuntank and I shield, and it's a play rough. So then my opponent swaps in a load of Muck, and I bring in Azumarill, and as soon as I bring in Azumarill, I realise it's a poison jab Muck, and it's doing a lot more fast damage than it would with Snarl. And then my opponent throws Dark Pulse, and with shields down throwing Dark Pulse, I had a feeling that my opponent only had one move on the Muck, so I felt a little bit safer with Azumarill. And now in this position, with Skuntank in the back with a bit of energy, I can get to the player off with my own Azumarill here, and knock Azumarill down to about 33 HP, and then just swap in 33% HP, and then swap into my Skuntank and get the Sludge Bomb off. Crunch probably KOs there too, but just to make sure. So game 2, I lead Skuntank into Munchlax. So opponent swaps out into Noctowl, and I decide to swap into Azumarill. This Noctowl looks to be running extra sensory, so I'm not entirely sure how this matchup would go on paper. So I let through the first Sky attack, and then I get to the second one just as I get to my play rough, so I decide to shield. And the play rough gets shielded by my opponent. So I get to the next player off just ahead of their Sky attack, and get the second shield. And then at this stage I decide that I'm going to shield the Sky attack incoming, and hope that I get to player off first. So my opponent swaps out into Frostlass, which suits me fine. Again, this Frostlass is running Hex. So I get to the player off. Hex is a good option for the mirror, but it's not going to be ideal if you're not in the mirror. So my opponent gets Crunch off, which I heavily resist. I'm happy to take it. At this point, I let a few of the bubbles through. Didn't need to fully charge it. It was going to KO Frostlass, and I needed that little bit of energy in the back just to get back with Munchlax, and I get Sludge Bomb off. And then the body slam will KO Skuntank after one extra fast move. At this point, I can come in with Medicham and farm down, and I keep my switch window open just in case. There we go. Swap in Azumarill to eat the energy off the Noctowl, and then I can come back in with Medicham and throw the Psychic to clean up game 2. So my recording for game 3 failed, so we'll be moving into round 2 after this. So into round 2, this time I lead Skuntank into Frostlass. Again, it's a negative matchup for Skuntank, but it's not as negative as some other matchups could be. You're going to lose in the 1s, you're going to lose in the 2s, just because you get outpaced to Avalanche versus the Crunch. But Skuntank is still going to do a decent job. It's going to leave Frostlass at a relatively low health to a point where it's coming in and it can get farmed. So as you can see again, I'll put up second shield here. And I'm quite happy taking this to the 2 shields, because I know that if I can take both shields off my opponent. I'm comfortable with what I have in the back in my Muck and my Zumarill here to take the win. So I swap in as you're trying to catch the Avalanche, and my opponent swaps in Ferret. So again, I know Ferret runs Brick Break and Hyper Beam. So if I have shields, it's about trying to call baits, and I think we'll see some potential baits in the upcoming matches. But in this one, I mean, Ferret's going for the Hyper Beam. There's no point to go for Brick Break. Shields are down. The only way you go for a Brick Break there is if you just don't get to the Hyper Beam on time. So I take the Hyper Beam, which I'm okay with, because it means that there's not a lot of farm left on Azu. Plus I have my double Dark Poison still in the back for whatever comes in. So in comes Muck and on his fifth snarl I'd throw the player off. So at this point I'm thinking, is he running Gungshot? Or what's the move he's running? Because he goes to 7 and then on 8 I decide to swap. So, you know, the Muck had a lot of energy stored up, and then I can get the 2 or 3 poison jabs off to get to my crunch before he can get to another move. And tidy up game 2. Or game 1, sorry. Moving into game 2. It's a Skuntank and Ferret lead, so I'm just going straight crunch here. I know Brick Break is super effective, or is neutral damage due to the Dark and Poison. So started said it had to be Brick Break. Let's test, see the damage it does, and it doesn't do enough damage for me to be worried. Again, this will be a second Brick Break. I'm okay letting it through. Again, it's not going to do too much damage, and I can just farm down. And the main thing is that it leaves a little bit less health on Skuntank for Skuntank to get farmed. So Azu comes in and I throw a Sludge Bomb. I saw a lot of people running Flamethrower on their Skuntank, so not a lot of people are expecting Sludge Bomb. So then the second time around I throw Crunch in the hope that I can get to another Crunch and try and bait out shields. So I get the shield for this one. And then I get another Crunch as Azu has 1 HP. I think I only realised Azu had 1 HP after I clicked the button. So that wasn't really ideal. Frostlass comes in, and again, if I had resisted myself there, just poison jabbed Azu down, then I would have had the crunch and then a Dark Pulse from Muck very quickly once it came in. Some opponent doesn't bother to shield us, that game is over, and lets it through. So into game 3, opponent leads Muck, and I'm leading Skuntank. Again, this one, Poison Jab's going to do a little bit more than Snarls in the fast move damage, and I'm going to get to crunch. Again, it's not going to do a lot of damage, but it's good chip. And the thing with Skuntank and Muck, well, yes, they're very good safe swaps in this cup. These mirrors can be a little bit slow. So I eat the Dark Pulse and throw off the second crunch. And then Poison Jab it down if I'm to survive. I take the second Dark Pulse and I just Poison Jab the Lola Muck down. So in comes Ferret, and I decide that I'm going to throw a Sludge Bomb. Again, if it gets a shield, it's all well and good. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I wasn't getting to another move, so might as well go for the big one. So at this point, I go in with Azu, and I'm quite comfortable in this matchup that Azu is going to be able to tidy up whatever this Ferret throws. So I will shield the first one, and it's a Brick Break. I throw the player off. And at this point, I need to say to myself, I need to keep my shield in the back just in case. I can still take a Hyper Beam from this range if Ferret decides to throw or if my opponent decides to throw a Hyper Beam at Ferret. So it throws a second Brick Break. And now the shields are down. I'm just happy enough just to build up the energy. And as soon as I lose this CMP tie, it's not that I kind of panic or anything, but I kind of wish I kind of just farmed up on it. But look, either way, in comes Frostlass, and Powder Snows aren't going to do a lot of damage. So I throw the player off, and Player off chunks away Frostlass, and then I just let Frostlass farm down close enough to get into another one, and then I'd just bring in a load of muck, and with the shield I'd such a positive matchup in the back that was GG's. So moving into game 3, and it's going to be the first appearance of Lickitung in this run. So I'm leading Skuntank into Noctowl. It's a very neutral matchup on both sides. Noctowl will win zeros, but I also know Skuntank will win the 1-0. And if I let the first one go and just poison jab down from here, I'll throw my shield up here. And a lot of people don't realise that even if you're in the lead, spending one shield to win switch can be good, it can be bad, but a lot of times in this cup, winning switch advantage is good. And was key to coming out with wins. So I throw the crunch into Lickitung, get the shield back, just can't get to the second one. That's okay. So at this point, I know Lickitung gets Power Whip, so I come in with a load of muck, and I suppose I wasn't in the ideal position to take care of Lickitung from here. Lickitung is chunky, and we'll see here with how much damage it's going to take off of this Dark Pulse. I mean, it's a chunky boy, I go for another Dark Pulse here. Probably could have gone for a Sludge Wave, thinking about it back now. But there's a couple of licks got in there. Well, the game is what the game is. So Dark Pulse goes through, and I think I'm 1 or 2 snarls off. So body slam in, and now I'm a shield down, and I've Azu in the back with bubble worth of energy, and then in comes my opponent's Azu. So I throw the play rough, and at this point, if my opponent doesn't have play rough, I have a chance to win. If my opponent does have play rough, then that will be the end of game 1. And my opponent does have play rough, so that will be game 1. It's going to be a long, drawn-out mirror match, but that's what it is, unfortunately. It's just the way the Azu mirrors go. Long, drawn-out, boring. But in the end, we'll get there. Again, right here, my only hope is that play rough would do enough with the bubbles before my opponent's play rough came off. That wasn't going to happen. And even with the Lickitung in the back, I probably wouldn't have been able to get there. So game 2, I lead Bronzong into Noctowl. Very positive matchup. Just basically getting this set back on track for myself. And at this point, I'm just happy to just confusion it down, expect the swap into something out of the Noctowl to try catch the Psyshock. So I get another 1 or 2 confusions off, throw Psyshock into Lickitung, and bring in the Medicham. And at this point, I know it's going to be a body slam. I'm okay taking it. It's going to tickle Medicham, but I'm okay with it, and I throw a power punch here. And this is the thing that's going to probably make a difference in games in the future too. The power punch and psychic combination. It's a good bait move, followed by a semi-nuke move, even a nuke move in psychic. So yeah, I get the shield there at psychic just before I go down, and I would have got the psychic there, and if I had a +2 psychic, not much is going to live it, but all good chip on Noctowl there. So at this point, Bronzong comes in, just confusion down. I take the Nightshade, and then I'm going to shield Sky Attack just to keep a little bit of health on Bronzong. I'm okay with this because it leaves less farm on Bronzong for whatever's coming in, that being the Azu, and I can swap out into my Alolan Muck. I know for this matchup, I know I need to land Sludge Wave, so I just go for it. I don't try and bait with the Dark Pulse, I just go straight Sludge Wave, get it off, and at this point I know I'm in a very positive position. So I shield the player off because I'm just positive that, or I'm in such a positive position that this Dark Pulse will probably get shielded. So I don't need to charge it up. Shield comes through, and Hydro Pump comes in, takes out Muck, and I can knock Azu out with one confusion, and then Psyshock the Noctowl as it comes in to take game 2. So all the marbles are on the table now in this game 3, and I lead Muck into Lickitung, and this is exactly what I wanted. Although it's not exactly a positive matchup for Muck, I've Medicham in the back, so my idea here was barely lose, or slightly lose to Lickitung, come in farm at Medicham, and then go from there. Because I get a Medicham that's probably going to get at least one power-up punch off, so you have +1, possibly a +2 Medicham coming in as a bit of a sweeper, and even if an Azu comes in to meet it, you can hit it with Psychics and do good damage. So Lickitung shields that Dark Pulse. So at this point, I'm up the shield. I'm happy to let Muck go here. He's done his job. And I come in with Medicham, and what I'm basically banking on is that it's an Azu. Azu comes in next to meet my souped up Medicham, and then, as you can see here, just farm it up, and I'll have Power Up Punch ready to go once the next Pokemon comes in, which is Azu, which is exactly what I wanted. But the Medicham will do enough damage to Azu that Bronzong can come in and farm, and that there's Toxicroak in the back. That's what I'm banking on. It's a bold strategy to come into the game with, hoping that this line is exactly what you want. Even if it was Noctowl, that a Toxicroak, it wouldn't be bad, but it would have to be Noctowl or Toxicroak for this line to properly work. So I take the player off, and I'm okay with this, and I'm going to save my shield for whatever is in the back. And I know it's too soon for this to be Hydro Pump, so I don't shield. Well, Flare Off is going to tickle, it's still not going to do as much damage as other potential moves could do. And in comes Toxicroak, so I throw the Psyshock here. And this is why I'm glad I kept my shield, because I overtapped this one, and it's not that I lose CMP. The Mud Bomb comes through here in the middle of my confusion, but that's why I kept the shield. Overtapped, but Bronzong is such a positive match against Toxicroak. Even with the overtap, you can get away with it. So, moving into round 4. Again, I'm leading Skuntank into Bevarel. And I know Bevarel wins this in the 2s straight Surf. So, I just need to go straight Crunch and hope that I hit a break point or the Bib's defense point or something flips this matchup. So again, we're both going to probably shield this all the way through. And my opponent throws a Hyper Fang, and at this point, I know that changes the matchup. That I now win the 2 shields because of the Hyper Fang. So again, just Poison Jabs versus Water Guns. And so I put up my second shield, and I'm already a little bit closer to the Crunch than they were to the Surf. So I win that race. And again, it's the good thing with Skuntank, there's not a lot of farm left for whatever comes in. And Tentacruel, so we have a Poison Jab battle. So I come in and Crunch here. And this is why, you'll see through this set, why Tentacruel can be good and how Tentacruel can be bad. So Tentacruel's farmed up a lot of energy. So I come in with Muck, not wanting to get Poison Jabbed. In hindsight, probably should have come in with Azu. Because then you're going off Acid Spray and then swap into Muck. I don't know. Hindsight is 2020, but Muck can get the Dark Pulse off. I know there's not a lot of farm left. In comes his Muck. So I should have just gone Dark Pulse there rather than swap in Azu. But that's okay. I eat up the energy that Muck had. And then come in Azu, Muck down a little bit of health, and that's just a little bit of health I needed. Those Snarl damages, the damage off Snarl is just that little bit I needed. Muck throws the Gunk Shot, I throw the Hydro Pump, and from here I'm able to get that 1 or 2 bubbles just to farm it down. So moving into game 2, I lead Medicham into Wigglytuff. Not ideal. Get a bit of energy and then swap into Bronzong. So Wigglytuff sticks around for a small bit and then goes into Muck. So as Muck comes in, I had that couple of confusions. So I said, you know what, we'll throw the Bulldoze, chance our arm, and it lands. Oh, excuse me. So with the Bulldoze landing, I know I'm in a positive position. I can take the Dark Pulse, come back in with a Medicham, and just farm. So I decide I'm going to throw a Power Punch. Just get my souped up Medicham ready to go. And again, a couple more counters down. So a little bit of energy in the bank, already +1. Knowing Wigglytuff is coming in, let's go for another Power Punch. Just do as much counter damage as I can. And just get Wiggly as low as possible. So in comes Skuntank. And this is why I was okay with Bronzong going down to Muck, because I had double Wiggly counters. So in comes Tentacruel. And at this point, the 2 shields, it comes down to who calls the right baits. Or if I can call the right baits on the acid sprays or not, I should say. So at this point, I don't shield it, and it's an acid spray. And I get Crunch here again. And takes the Crunch. And then I shield this one. And another acid spray, and at that point, that's the GG's. Because down to defense, even if I was to take out the Tentacruel here, Wigglytuff would take me out with 1 charm. So I lose this race either way, so it doesn't make a difference, but that game was over either way. So moving into yet another decisive game 3. So Skuntank into Tentacruel lead. Again, we've seen how pesky Tentacruel can be if you don't call the baits right. So I get the first shield of Crunch. And at this point, I know he's at a Hydro Pump, and I can't risk it. And I use my shield and ease up that Hydro Pump. I got a second Crunch off here. And that's not going to take a shield. And I know I'll get to my third Crunch just before he'll get to the second Hydro Pump. So at this point, if he shields this, he's probably Hydro Pumping. I know he has a lot of energy, so I get the shield off of him, which then tells me I should shield because it should be a Hydro Pump, which it is. So at this point, I know that he possibly is going to get to an acid spray here. Can't get to another Hydro Pump, but I'm okay just farming. Again, leaves a little bit less chip on Skuntank for whatever comes in. So I mash the Sludge Bomb, expecting the Wigglytuff. And I'm glad I see the Wigglytuff. And essentially destroyed Wigglytuff in one go. So then he swaps in Frostlass. And I swap in a load of Muck. And at this point, all I have to do is land my Dark Pulse. Avalanche is going to do a bit of damage, but I'll get to Dark Pulse before the second attack from Frostlass. And that will as good as tie up the game. Just a little bit of lag, because, you know, what's Pogo PvP without that little bit of lag? And then Wiggly comes in and is a little bit more energy than I remember. And then Bronzong comes back, and Bronzong is a little more than I remember. So, going into game 5, and my opponent in this game beat me in a final only 3 weeks previous. And it was close all 3 games that day, and I was expecting all 3 games to be close here. So even Azu into Frostlass lead. As I sort of play rough, he swaps his Azu in to take it, and I'm okay with this. So I get to the loose EMP on the second play rough. And then the way the game has been playing the last couple of days hasn't been great, and this will be a serious highlighting factor of that. As you can see here, I'm on my 4th bubble, and my opponent gets another player off. I know the game is a bit buggy, but look, that is what it is. So I farm it up a little bit more, get a little bit of stored energy, and throw the player off. Take out the Azu. So back in comes Frostlass, and I decide just to let Azu go here. Come in with Skuntank. And at this point, I needed a stars to align to come out with a win in this match. Especially with Medicham in the back. There's not a lot. Linoon, its Shadow Claws do a lot of damage. Toxicroak, if I can get to Toxicroak with shield down, I'm in a good spot with Psychic. Yeah, it's just Hypno wouldn't be ideal. Knockdown wouldn't be ideal. So again, at this point, I just need a couple of stars to align. I'll take the Avalanche there, get the Crunch off here, and then swap out and farm with Medicham. Which, I mean, it's not something I thought I'd have to do, but that power of punch probably saves me. I think Frostlass is right on that move, and then in comes Toxicroak, and I get to Psychic. And that's GG's for game 1. So moving into game 2, I lead Munchlax into Toxicroak. And looking at what I have in the back, Toxicroak isn't an ideal thing to see at all. Not at the lead anyway. So I decide to stick it out with Munchlax, throw the Body Slam, doesn't get shielded. And see, I have my switch window up, just in case I wanted to try and swap in and catch something, but I decided I'll just shield the Sludge Bomb, and Munchlax can survive, which is amazing. So in comes Frostlass. I mean, I've nothing better to do than throw this Body Slam and lick away as much as I can before I go down. So a good chunk of damage onto Frostlass for what I had. So then I come in with Azu, and then he swaps into Azu himself. So I swap in my Skuntank. And Skuntank has done a lot of work in this cup. So at this stage, I'm down a shield, so I have to go for the bait, throw the Crunch, and it gets shielded. It's a visual glitch here, but it was in fact shielded. So then I respond with a player up shield, and then I go for the Hail Mary play, Sludge Bomb, and hope it hits. And I get the second shield. And at this point, again, slightly up against it, but you know, it's not the first time this cup I've been slightly up against it with the odds. But back in comes my Azu, and again, farm up and just hit the player off as my opponent's going to get to the player off. And this is just the power of Azu as a sweeper. You know, and from here I can take one, and it's going to be a race to the second Shadow Ball from Frostlass. And that extra little bit of energy gained I had with Azu on Azu just proved to be the difference, and I land the Hydro Pump. So going into game 3, I've already secured the set. So try something with double poison in the back and Bronzong lead. At this point I swap in Muck, trying to catch the Shadow Ball. And if this is the Shadow Ball, it changes the game. It's an Avalanche, so it's a slightly different scenario then. Muck having that little bit less health. So I shield here, throw the Dark Pulse. And back in comes Toxicroak, and I'm locked in. I can't get the Dark Pulse, so it has a bit of energy now. So I come in with Bronzong, smashing Psyshock. Decided I can eat this Mud Bomb because I can. Throw the Psyshock, and at this point I'll have to take the shield off my opponent, or he's going to lose Toxicroak. So get the shield, and expecting the swap into Azu. In even shields, I'll bring in Skuntank. this point, I shield the player off, and I have to land the bait successfully. So I go crunch. I have to get the shield, which I do, and I have to get the sludge bomb before he gets a move, which again I do. But at the same time, this is also detrimental because Skuntank has too much health left and can just get farmed. Now, I got sludge bomb here. I'm not quite sure would crunch have been better in this scenario, but either way, Toxicroak has a lot of health, so swap in Bronze on a mud bomb, which sealed the fate of this game. Had I stayed in and the mud bomb been thrown onto Skuntank, then I would have taken it, but oh well. So, moving into round 6, and if I win this, I sweep. If I lose, then it's potentially up to a 7-way tie, I think. So, Skuntank into Frostlass, and I know I'm going to lose this in the 1s, I'm going to lose in the 2s, but I'm not upset with that. As you've seen in previous matches throughout this video, throughout my tournament, that I'll take that gladly and come in and just have an extra bit of farm on something in the back. So just going straight crunch. Again, the game being a bit funny that I win this race for the second move, and that shouldn't happen. But again, all shielded down now, and I'm looking at what I can swap into, and then they swap, and I throw the sludge bomb into Toxicroak, which I really shouldn't have, to be honest. Wasted all my energy. Should have just swapped out into Azu. Kept the crunch for Frostlass in the back. Again, the sludge bomb comes through from Toxicroak, and then I don't need to fully charge this player off from Azu. It's going to KO Toxicroak, and I just need to leave a little bit of energy for myself, just in case. So in comes Azu. And at this point, it would have been ideal to have that sludge bomb from Toxicroak. Sorry, sludge bomb from Skuntank that I threw on Toxicroak. It would have been ideal to have it. But no. So I throw him up and try to swap, and just can't get it. So Muck eats that Hydro Pump, and then again, I try and swap a second time, and it just couldn't get either of the two swaps through, and I think the game was over either way. But yeah, Skuntank can't do anything from here. So 2 failed swaps and bad energy management in the lead. But look, well played in that one. Going into game 2, lead Munchlax and Toxicroak, and I saw this in my previous set. Winning in the 1-0 when my opponent throws Sludge Bomb. So I just played it out and just keep licking. So I throw up this shield, which I'm happy with, hoping to be able to lick down. And he throws a Mud Bomb, and at this point I'm not sure whether I get to KO before the second Mud Bomb, which I don't. And then this is another mistake I make, throwing up that shield. Should have just let Munchlax go rather than being 2 shields down. So I throw the Body Slam here. And then as I get to the second Body Slam, my opponent swaps in Frostlass. And at this point I knew that I was on a real uphill struggle. Down 2 shields. And I don't know. I had to come in Azu and use Bronzong as a sack swap and just hope Azu could sweep. But realistically, me missing my swaps game 1, my opponent getting the swaps game 2, you know. So at this point, I'm here and I swap in Bronzong for the Shadow Ball. I mean, it was useless to me at this point. So in comes Azu to get that last bubble down. And my opponent still has a shield here as well. At this point, as much as my motto is just keep tapping and never give up and all this, there's no way back. So I'll just keep tapping the bubbles, but I won't throw the charge move. Save everyone's time, really. Especially in something like an Azu mirror. there's no point throwing the moves if you lost. So going into game 3, I mean, I've already been clean out in this set, but just try the bronze angle, try and catch Toxic Croak. Doesn't work. Get another Frost last. And then Munchlax needs Toxic Croak again. So all 3 games, my opponent caught the leads and just outplayed me. There's no hiding that fact. While in other games I may have got strokes of luck here and there. Win by 1 fast move in races, 2 charge moves. This game I just got completely and utterly outplayed. Start to finish, top to bottom. Toxic Croak wins this out. And I was hoping he's going to throw a Mud Bomb, expecting the Bronzong. Throws a Sludge Bomb, expecting the Yazoo instead. And that was pretty much the final nail in the coffin at that point. So his opponent brings in his own Yazoo. And watch this painful. Swap in my Bronzong. Hoping Frostlass was going to come in. Throw the Fly Shock. Get the shield. I don't shield this, hoping it's an Avalanche bait. It's a Shadow Ball. I'm dead. And then in comes Azu. At this point, if Azu had more health, I'd be in a better spot. I mean, that's fairly obvious. So I shield the Shadow Ball, and I just try to farm as much energy as I can. And at this point, I'm hoping that under a 0 charge on the player off KOs. It doesn't. I mean, that was my only play. The only chance I had was that KO'd, and then Avalanche does nothing back. GG's to all the winners. The fact that there were 7 of us tied 5-1 just shows how strong the tournament is and how good we all are. If you enjoyed that video, please like and subscribe for more Silph Arena and Go Battle League content. Thank you.